Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. Let's start the new year off well and say Happy New Year to everybody. And I hope whatever you did on New Year's Eve, you had a great time. You saw out 2022. We're now ready to bring in a powerful, exciting new 2023. Now, I haven't gone mad because I've still got my Christmas decorations up. I'm sort of one of those really Christmas freaky sort of people. I love Christmas. So I thought we'd just extend that magic for just a little bit longer and sort of as we bring in the new year and bring in sort of a really positive vibe. I think that's what I'm going for, that sort of, you know, we can have something that's really illuminated and magical. That's what Christmas is about. And the new year is bringing in that beautiful new positive energy as we move forward and start our new beginnings, our new opportunities for 2023. So the first card out for 2023 is the Eight of Pentacles. Now, a lot of people look at this card and say, oh, yeah, okay, great work, paid work. But for many, many people that have had employment that hasn't been sort of as secure as they'd like it to be, or have not got a job and are looking for a job, and it's that time of the year where a lot of people are thinking about changing their job or looking for something more stable or more secure or something that they just appeals to them more. This is a very, very positive card. On the other side, it can be that there's a lot of work to be done in your life. Now, I always think at the beginning of the year is when we do our most work. Most people set intentions for the year. Some people call them New Year's resolutions. Other people call them promises, or other people just call it a list of what I'm going to achieve this year. So there's many things in many areas of our lives that we've got a fair bit of work to do at the moment, that we're working on getting our new year off to a good start and getting to where we want to go. It doesn't necessarily have to mean, when we say hard work, it doesn't have to be work that really makes you feel uncomfortable. It just means we've got to put a little bit of extra effort in. And I don't think there's anything wrong with putting a little bit of extra effort into our lives and sort of saying to ourselves, it's time now to move forward, that, you know, we can leave the past behind us. There's still so many things going on around the world that we've still got to put in a little bit of extra effort. Things aren't as carefree as they were back at the beginning of 2020. So, you know, work is required now on just some of the simple day-to-day tasks that we think about and we carefully plan. Is this a journey that we need to make? Do we need to visit that location? Is it safe to do so? So we've all had an increase in work over the last couple of years to do with our health. So it's a good positive start to the year, I feel. So the sun's still sitting in Capricorn. It's that Capricorn time of the year. So it's a time when we are focused on things that are connected to dentists, doctors, lawyers, anything official, anything government, you know, going through our papers, checking our accounts, making sure we've got the best deals on our utilities and insurances and things like that. For people here in Australia, it's the start of the school year at the end of the month. So people are starting to organise their children and get books and uniforms and all those sort of wonderful things that go with school, because it's the summer holidays here. So there's plenty of activity at the beaches and theme parks and things like that. But, you know, people are slowly starting to ramp up going back to work this week. And it's sort of like when we start to really feel that Capricorn sort of energy, that we've got to start to get organised. We've got to start to really think about the months that lay ahead, the things that we've got to achieve. Have we dealt with everything that we needed to deal with? Have we got our finances in place? There's lots of things going on at the moment. So we also have in Capricorn at the moment, but not conjunct or holding hands with the sun, we have Mercury, the planet of communication. So this is where at the moment Mercury in Capricorn is a really great time if you need to have, no matter what your star sign is, if you need to have that really detailed, in-depth conversation, or you need to resolve a family issue or something like that that's been hanging around for a while, now is the perfect time to do so, because Mercury will not only bring solutions here, but it will also bring a little bit of a calming effect where you might find that the other person or other people involved have actually got their listening ears on and are actually listening and taking notice of what you've got to say, and that we can start to find some resolutions here. Now, Mercury is conjunct or holding hands Pluto, the planet of transformation. So again, this adds weight to any communication that we need to have, particularly conversations that we've been putting off for a long time, or some slow-moving issues or situations that seem to have been dragging on forever. Now is the perfect time where I think we can actually get some resolution, some answers. We can move forward. We can start to sort of go forward now in our lives in a way that is it somebody tickling me, that we're able to move forward now with communication, get documents signed, get, things in place. It's like a lot of plans are going to come together now where we can get that final stamp of approval or, move a project along. If it's a work project, it might have been something that's been hanging around for a long time and you've been waiting to get that final piece to the puzzle before the project can move forward. Well, now is the time that we make that almighty push, because it is the time when we can make magic happen now, where we can get things across the line that seem to have been very, very, very slow for a long period of time. There's movement in the camp now, and that's good. We also have Venus sitting in, we also have Venus conjunct those two planets, but Venus is in the next sign. It's moved into Aquarius. So it's interesting. We've got communication and Pluto sitting in Capricorn, trying to sort all that sort of stuff out and sort of move plans forward and sort of resolve any family issues and things like that that may have been too hot to handle in recent times. But now we've got a little bit of a clear window here where everybody's calm and we can sort of make progress in that way. Then we bring into the equation of Venus conjunct or holding hands, those two previous planets. They're all sitting together, but Venus is actually in Aquarius. Now, with Venus in Aquarius, this is asking us to think outside the square, to look at maybe different resolutions, different solutions, different ideas that we can bring to this. And this is probably a little bit of welcome relief here that adds to what we've already been speaking about, because with Venus here, it's giving us that flexibility to say, hang on a minute, I've had this brilliant idea. It may not work, but it may be something that we can build upon. And it sort of puts a freshness into the conversation that may have been lacking before. And it may just be the thing that helps us unravel this and get it across the line once and for all. So I think there's some very positive times to be had at the moment. If there's family discussions or work discussions that need to take place, now's the time for sort of submitting those ideas and pushing things forward and sort of saying to yourself, okay, this is where I need to be, this is where I want to be, and this is how I'm going to try and endeavour to make it happen. So that's really great. We have Saturn, the planet of discipline, also sitting in Aquarius, but it's in the last, 7 or 8 degrees of Saturn being in Aquarius. Now, I know for many of my Aquarian friends, it's been a really difficult, tough 12 sort of months. It's been a time where some of them have had what they see as the rug pulled from underneath them, long-term plans, long-term jobs or contracts or something like that, have all of a sudden evaporated and disappeared, and it was quite a shock. It wasn't what they were expecting to happen. But on the flip side of that, out of this has come some really brilliant, exciting new opportunities and adventures and changes that they wouldn't have maybe taken had they not had the rug pulled from underneath them. So it's interesting with Saturn here being the planet of discipline or structure and sort of, stability, working hand in hand with the unpredictable Aquarian sort of energy, sort of saying, well, okay, you think you know it all. Well, hang on a minute, I'll show you there's another side to this, or there's something here that you haven't thought of. So the Aquarian energy sometimes can be very unpredictable, can really force us to think outside the square. And sometimes we say as human beings, we're not ready for that. We all become quite complacent, I think. We're all creatures of habit. We like to sort of sit in our own mess for as long as we can, even though we mightn't like it. We're still happy to sit there and say, okay, well, this is my life. I can't do much to change it. And it's only when we're forced or encouraged in a very strong manner that we have to make a change, there is no turning back, that we all of a sudden find these exciting new potential opportunities and our life opens up and we feel really excited and energized again. And we think, why didn't I do that sooner? And it's because we're human and we don't necessarily like instigating change just for the sake of it. So if you are an Aquarian and you haven't had sort of that bump in the night yet with some sort of major change happening to you, that you've been forced to sort of change employment or forced to look at your life in a different way, hold on to your hat because it is coming. It's not necessarily saying it's going to miss you. Some it will be more severe or more intense than others, but please rest assured that whatever happens in your life that you didn't really want to change in, it will end up being for the better, and your life will be much fuller, much more stable, and really sort of exciting and taking you into the next few years with a renewed vigour and excitement. And it's interesting because some of the people that I've seen that it's affected the most have not necessarily been the youngest members of our community. These have been people that are well over 50. that were sort of thought they were quite set in their careers or quite set in their path, and all of a sudden they've had the rug pulled from underneath them and sat there and said, well, what do I do now? You know, absolutely bewildered. Where younger members of the community have embraced it and said, wow, great, about time, I've been ready for change, I've been looking for it, now the opening's here. So they're excited and they're embracing it much quicker than I think as we get older, we get a little bit more stubborn and a little bit more set in our ways. But we like to think we're the master of our own universe, and I'm no exception to that rule. I've worked with, you know, many times, you know, different changes that have happened in my life that I wasn't expecting or didn't want to happen, and, you know, fought them. And like everybody else, you know, we don't want to have change just for the sake of change. You sort of wait for the right opening, but it's turned out to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened, you know, whether I've changed a job or made a change in my personal life or whatever. So none of us are immune to these things that sort of happen. And even with all my knowledge of astrology, you can still only predict or think you know what's going to happen in your life to a certain point. The rest of it is about how we handle certain situations, that how the dominoes fall in our life. And I think that's what makes life exciting. Yes, we always have choices, but sometimes those choices are forced upon us or foisted upon us, that we have to then sort of rethink our direction and move a different way. So I think we are actually heading into a very exciting 2023. By all accounts, it's got a nice ring to it. It's got a nice feel to it. And I think people are sort of really starting to sort of question, even more so now, am I in the right location? Am I in the right job? Is this what I really want for my next 12 months? And it's sort of like, you know, we've come through, you know, we went through COVID, we came out the other side, and we're still, you know, we're learning to adjust and deal with and live with COVID and the changes that it's brought about. And now I think it's more about, well, okay, that sort of had a little bit of time to settle. Now what's next? What's next for me? And I think it's going to be a very big year of me first, me first, me first. Even though we're not all Aries, we're going to slip that sort of Aries energy on for a while and look at how it does affect me and what I'm going to do moving forward. We still have Neptune in Pisces, which is wonderful, because I think Neptune here is going to bring a really creative flair to each and every one of us, that all of a sudden we're going to have little bursts of creativity or ideas or things that come in when we're sitting there daydreaming or losing ourselves in into music or in a movie or something like that. All of a sudden there's a little message there for us that motivates us to move forward, and that's good. I think it's a very exciting year ahead of many people. There will be many changes, and, you know, the year has started off with a lot of tragedies around the world, and we're losing a lot of our very influential, particularly females at the moment, you know, from people in the music industry and then the media business. You know, there's just many, many changes. And as you start to get older, you start to realise the people that you looked up to and admired all of a sudden are starting to pass away, and you start to think, oh, gee, I really am getting on a little bit. And I suppose that's the progression of life. It's the progression of time. But, you know, there'll always be tragedies. There'll always be loss. And I think what we've got to learn to do is live in the moment and enjoy every single person that does come across our path, and savour that moment, and, you know, gain as much knowledge and wisdom as we can from the people while they're here with us. And we have that opportunity to ask a question and get their answers, and then see whether that resonates with us or it's something we're going to put away and think about later. But we have those opportunities, so don't squander them. Finally, in the astrology section, I want to talk about Mars, the planet of action and drive, is actually holding hands at the moment with Moon, the emotional planet, in Gemini. Now, this is going to be very short-lived. It's only got about another 18, 20 hours to go. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a free pass today. If you're feeling a little bit emotional, if you're feeling a little bit snappy, snarly, you sort of know you're snapping at people that you shouldn't be, you're giving very short answers or very cranky answers, you have a free pass for about 12 hours. After that, we're going to smack you on the wrist and say, naughty person. But up until then, I want you to just be aware that you are being a little bit more considerate of people that are around you. They don't deserve your bad temper just because you're feeling a little bit out of sorts and emotions are feeling a little bit stretched at the moment. Try and use this in a positive way. Maybe it's that time to have that breakthrough of, you know, a tricky situation, and sort of sit down and sort of say, look, I know you've been angry with me for a while. Why don't we try and sort it out without having a really, you know, big argument. Let's try and see if we can find a way forward, because Gemini is very flexible. It's asking you to sort of, really listen, look for those light bulb moments. Communication is the key here. So if you've got some communication that you need to talk about this week, this is the perfect time. Don't put it off. We're going to talk with Penelope in Mineral Wells in Texas. Are you there, Penelope?
Hello.
Hello, Penelope. Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Yeah. What's the store for 23?
Okay. First thing that they were showing me, Penelope, for you is that it's going to be a slow start to 2023 for you. I don't want you to get disappointed as things don't sort of move as fast as you would like to see them start to progress in the first 3 or 4 months of this year. It's like I almost want to sort of put you on autopilot and say, let's just glide our way through the first 3 or 4 months, dealing with what is only important or urgent that needs your attention now. For some of the other things that you'd like to bring forward or produce or, ignite this year, we might need to wait till after Easter, and then sort of, things will start to ramp up very quickly. Are you making some changes to where you're living, Penelope? Is there some redecorating or something going on, some building works or something around the home?
Well, yes, I'd like to. I'm trying. Just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, no, but I feel that that's...
I want to do.
Yeah, I feel that's going to be sort of like the major big project for this year, is sort of making your home feel more the way that you want it to do. It's something you've been thinking about for quite some time. It will actually sort of happen this year. The other thing that they were showing me, Penelope, and technically by law we're not to discuss medical issues, but I can talk about it on an energetic level. I just feel this year, particularly after we get past Easter, it's like your energy levels are coming back to what they used to be. The last few years, your energy's been up and down and all over the place. And I'm not sure whether that's just been because your health hasn't been as good as it could have been, or with that you've had extra stress and sort of extra responsibilities connected to family and friends. And it's like that's all now coming to a nice leveling out, so that you can now start to sort of look at putting Penelope as number one and sort of looking at what your needs are. And with that is coming this better sort of more consistent sort of energy. And it's like I feel that I'm alive again. It's sort of, I don't feel like I'm constantly tired and dragging myself through the day. So that's really the big message for this year, Penelope, is that you're going to feel so much better.
Good, because I've had a heart attack.
Oh, okay, right. Well, that would explain what I was picking up, but I saw a lot of stress around that as well. So do you think that was partly triggered by the stress in your life, Penelope?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, now you've got to put yourself number one, sweetheart. And, you can always put off to tomorrow what you can't do today. It's one thing I've learned. The dust doesn't get any thicker. Right. If you don't do it today, it'll still be there tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, lovely to talk with you. Happy New Year, sweetie. We're now going to talk with Jennifer in London in England. Are you there, Jennifer?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, do you have a question I can answer for you, Jennifer?
Pardon?
Do you have a question you would like me to answer for you?
It was just to see, can you see anything good that is going to be happening anytime soon?
Okay, all right, we can tune into that for you. The first thing that they're showing me or sharing with me, Jennifer, is that there's a number of endings, changes and transformations. So I'm going to take it from that 2021 and 2022 weren't what you're going to look back and say were your greatest years of your life. There seemed to be constant battles there of sort of like I was really trying to push through things all the time. Is that how you found the last couple of years?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm pleased to say that's slowly starting to ease off. I wish I had a magic wand and could take it all away today. That'd be marvellous. But it's just going to slowly ease off over the next few months. It's interesting because they're showing me that you've learnt so much about yourself in this last couple of years. I don't think you've ever really dived in and looked at who you are and what you stood for and what the type of person that you wanted to be. But in this last couple of years, that's become very obvious. And it's become very obvious that people were using you a lot, that they took your your good nature and abused it. You know, they never really left anything for Jennifer. So it's interesting now that you're sort of being a lot more discriminating in who you help and who you want in your life. And some people might look at that as a hardness. I'm going to say it's about time. It's overdue, because nobody was thinking of you ever. So, you know, it's now time again for you to put yourself first this year too. But I do see things improving. I do see in the second half of this year an easing of money. So the first 6 months to me seem to be sort of trying to tidy everything up, pay off as many things as you can so that you can get yourself back into the driver's seat financially, that the second half of the year you can breathe a bit easier and say, I've got a little bit of money here, I can treat myself to a little treat or two, or I can just put it away for when I see something. But overall, I think life is certainly on the improve. Is there no one special in your life at the moment, Jennifer?
No, I'm seeing someone, but
okay.
Nothing.
Are you hoping for that to develop, you know, a bigger way? Because they're showing me this oversized, beautiful, big pink heart. Now, that either means that the relationship that you're in is going to explode and become everything you want it to be, or there's new love coming into your life. I just didn't feel this one that you were in at the moment was okay, but it wasn't making my heart sing.
Right.
So let's just have an open mind with this. I don't like to say that a relationship's got to finish because it's not quite right. I mean, you know, there may be something that's going to change to make this sort of explode into this beautiful big pink heart that I saw. So let's go with that. Let's just sort of say, well, okay, I know what you need as Jennifer the person. We've got to put that out there and sort of see what comes back, because I think this is certainly your year. It's a time where we can have a lot more coming into your life because you deserve it. But it's sort of, you've got to be the one to put your needs first and foremost. And I know it's difficult for you to be selfish, and it's going to take a little bit of work to be able to do that. But you need to, when someone comes to you with a problem, you need to look at who owns the problem. If it doesn't personally affect you, then you are under no obligation to try and help them to fix it, sort it out, or resolve it. Yes, you can give them some of your pearls of wisdom if you choose to, but that's where it stops. It's not up to you to make it happen for them. We've got to keep that energy for Jennifer this year. So is there potentially a move of residence coming up before the end of the year?
Sorry, say that again. Did you say a move?
Yeah, is there potentially a move of residence coming up before the end of the year?
Well, I was hoping. I've been waiting a long time.
Have you? Well, I'm seeing a move, but I'm not seeing it in the first half of this year. And they were showing it to me as potentially, and they were showing it to me as being very happy, like I was really excited about it. So I wasn't sure whether that was connected to matters of the heart, or whether you were just excited because this is something you've waited a long time for and it's finally happening, and you sort of think, wow, this is great. So whatever it is, I know it's good. I know there's a lot of happiness to happen this year, and certainly the second half of the year is financially better than the first half, but the first half is more you trying to get your budget under control. You know, you're really trying to pay down any debt that you owe so that you're in a better position to be able to sort of say, oh, I can have that little treat and I don't have to think about it. And that's what your objective is for this year. So I wish you well, Jennifer. I know 2023 is going to be a much, much better year than you've had in many years. So that's Jennifer in London. So, you know, it's an interesting time for most of us. You know, we all have these new ideas of what we're going to do for the new year and what we're going to achieve work-wise, family-wise, whatever. And most of us, we get to the end of the year and think, oh, well, I didn't do many of those things on the list. Oh, well, I've crossed off a couple. Oh, well, next year will be a better time. I think we've got to stop being so tough on ourselves. I think we've got to set realistic goals or realistic intentions or things that we hope to happen, and then sort of allow ourselves a little bit of time to be human. Sometimes plans change. Sometimes the ideas of things that were important to us once are no longer as important. So I think it's a time of putting ourselves first, really looking at making sure that, you know, I'm a bit of a workaholic. I had to learn to schedule in downtime, that, you know, you can actually take the day off or you can have some time off. I put that in my diary now. My children think it's hilarious that mum's decided now she doesn't work weekends. They've never known that in all their lifetime. So, you know, I think we all can take a lesson from things like that, reorganise our lives so that they're better, that we get to spend time with our family and our loved ones, and make sure it's the best possible year that we can possibly have. The song I'm going to leave you with this week, I think, is fairly appropriate. I have a happy new year. I mean, everybody wants to have a happy new year, and let's hope that we can. But the most important thing, be kind to each other. Let's hope for a miracle that this war in Ukraine finishes soon. And also, too, that we finally get on top of the COVID virus that's still circulating around the world, so that we can get our lives back to a point that we don't have to think about when we step out the door what precautions that we need to take. That would be the best thing that could happen in 2023, would be those things. So until next week, enjoy your week. Happy New Year. And I hope that you have an absolutely awesome week. Bye for now.